Patrice O'Neal was a fearless comedian that dedicated his life to speaking the truth no matter the cost. Even if it meant burning bridges, offending the PC police, or alienating himself from Hollywood, always advocating for free speech even if it meant triggering the PC mob.
Funny people should just be left to trying to be funny.
What if they're not funny?
Then you made a mistake. But how many times has how many unfunny rape jokes lead to rape? Like,
No, I don't know how many jokes about rape there are.
there's a lot. But your world is not funny. Your world is next on the big story. My world is people trying to be funny.
Well, I mean, you think it's okay to try to make jokes about rape?
I'm diabetic. I make fun of that. I'm a victim. I might lose a toe.
Patrice O'Neal was fighting cancel culture before it was a thing. He understood people were going to label him a misogynist, a sexist, throw a bunch of labels at him, but instead of apologizing, he doubled down on his beliefs. Patrice was a well-rounded individual, no pun intended, who had a unique take on almost every subject he talked about, ranging from relationship dynamics, movies, conspiracy theories, video games, and race relations.
White guys are so afraid to be a racist. I'm telling you. You see a few black guys walking towards you in an area you don't belong in, run. My advice, run, get home, feel guilty, but be alive. Alive and guilty is a good thing. Because if I see 5 bald white dudes walking towards me, I ain't gonna wonder if they got cancer. I'm gonna go. Because that could be the old cancer hang a nigga trick.
A modern-day philosopher who used comedy as a platform to discuss any topic on his mind.
I want to be in a position where I could just influence thought thinking without being attacked by a cartel that can just tell you're a homophobe, or you're or anti-Semite, you're a racist, you're this, and you hate women. Motherfucker, so what?
Patrice was a very talented comedian but hated the show business of Hollywood. Holding his tongue for a paycheck was something Patrice would never do. Oftentimes, his brutal honesty was mistaken for cruelty, arrogance, or an unwillingness to cooperate. Hollywood despised Patrice because he wouldn't soften up his rough edges to make money, standing on his beliefs even if it meant losing a $1 million deal. Major Hollywood players like P. Diddy and Spike Lee offered to work with Patrice, but he refused to put himself in compromising positions. No Diddy.
I'm not afraid of nothing. I just don't want to be at a party and somebody goes, Patrice, here, try this. What is it? It'll make you feel better. I don't drink shit that makes me feel better, motherfucker. Alright, listen, the party's over for you.
Patrice didn't want to owe something he couldn't pay back. He understood that Hollywood is an industry that traps people by promising fame and fortune, but it comes with strings attached. Because of this, he was always torn between wanting to make money, but didn't want to sell out on his beliefs. Throughout his career, Patrice was extremely vocal on the dark side of Hollywood show business.
This business is the beast.
Yeah.
And it eats everybody and shits them out. But here's what's funny about the beast. It's a never-ending line of people who want to get in the mouth and get chewed up and shit out.
Why is that?
It's because when you get in the belly, you get $2 million a week.
Through sheer determination, Patrice was able to find some success in Hollywood, but not without several controversies. Follow me as we discuss the legendary tale of Patrice O'Neal. Patrice Lamumba Malcolm O'Neal grew up in Roxbury, Massachusetts, a historically segregated area known for the 1970s race riots, which involved beatings, violent protests, and a brutal police presence. Patrice became hyper-aware of racial tensions by being exposed to a harsh reality.
Summer camp, I think I was 10, and this kid called me a nigger. This little white kid called me a nigger. It was a game he played with me. Called me a nigger and ran, and I chased him. And he ran to where there was adults. And I grabbed him, and when I put my hands on him, he screamed like Banshee, you know? And I got thrown out of camp. I'm like, he called me a nigger. It's like, so I learned a lesson that, yeah, nigga. A lot of things I learned about racism that you don't learn unless you live in a place like Boston.
Growing up with a single mother, Patrice looked for father figures in pop culture, television, and older people in his neighborhood. They gave him the nickname Bruiser since he was a 6'3", 300-pound football player. His upbringing involved playing sports in high school, working odd jobs, and majoring in theater arts in college. One event that forever changed the course of his life was a legal dispute at age 17. Him and 6 of his friends hooked up with 2 girls doing quote-unquote porno shit.
Me and my friends hanging out, bumped into 2 girls.
Yeah.
My mother was out of town, so I had the house to myself. You know, we brought them back, and we had a good time.
Yeah.
And then, you know, dropped them. Everybody seemed to be happy. And so we told the wrong people And those people said, ooh, all right, I know that girl. So instead of like just taking advantage of the fact that she was just a natural hoe doing a little work, it was like, hey, I heard what you did in Boston. Why don't you do it to me? Or I'm going to tell everybody. And she's just like, crying and emotional about what's now imminent. Like, what is everybody gonna come blackmailing me for get their dick sucked? Yeah. So she cried to her brother and said, "Oh man, I got raped today."
Patrice was sentenced to 2 months in jail. The whole situation was messed up because he was 17 years old, doing time with inmates who were serving life sentences.
I was not a jail guy, man. I just wasn't a jail. I was like, the biggest thing was that I had a rape beef over my head.
Yeah.
And the idea is that, you know, those guys get a bad time in jail. And I'm like, oh man, what's going to happen? I mean, you got to understand, I was not fit for that. These guys, they said, look, what you in for? And they're making me walk around the yard with them. And I'm like, oh God, they're going to probably walk me to this blind spot here and they're going to do something. Oh God. So it's like 4 of them. Yeah. And we just walking around the yard and I go, well, I did this. And after like 2 walks around, they go, you in here for pulling a motherfucking train? They go, everybody in this motherfucker did that shit. They gave me a pass. They go, look, don't let me ever hear you locked up again. I said, thank you.
His co-defendant, on the other hand, was so afraid of being sexually assaulted, he refused to shower. Inmates would throw pee on him, beat his ass, and threaten to kill him.
And he wouldn't take a shower, and eventually it became torturous, and it was torture for him for at least 45 of the 60 days. I got 60 days with 1 year probation, and I was done.
So your boy, though, he got fucked up and he never fucking bounced back.
He never bounced back.
This situation, although it was traumatic, didn't leave Patrice bitter in the end. He viewed it as a test from God and was lucky to leave after 2 months. This incident may have contributed to his views on women, but his career had yet to begin. In 1992, after dropping out of college to pursue comedy, during an open mic night event, Patrice was challenged to perform after heckling one of the comedians at Estella's comedy club. Ever since that night, he immersed himself in the comedy scene, where he met Bill Burr while working as a doorman. Patrice perfected his craft at Stitch's Comedy Store alongside comedians like Bill Burr, Robert Kelly, and Dane Cook. They would roast the absolute shit out of each other for entertainment. This is where Patrice developed his confrontational comedy style, which he took to New York in 1998. Patrice was often seen at the Boston Comedy Store in New York City, where other legends like Dave Chappelle and Louis C.K. frequented at. Patrice tested his material by telling stories that would elicit an emotional response from the crowd.
I have trouble disciplining my puppy when it piss on the rug. You know, hey, Bob, you know. But you ever see them specials? They have those Chinese chefs and they cook it and there's a kitchen full of puppies. And they just don't even care. Like fried puppy faces like it. I'd be skinny. If I had to kill my own food, I'd be in shape.
Patrice learned that if he was bombing, it was better to take everyone down with him rather than fight for their approval.
When I'm bombing, the worst thing to ever do is try to not bomb. The best thing to do is take everybody to die. Everyone dies. I'm not dying. Yeah. You're going to die with me. Yeah. I'm not going to try to win you back because I notice about people, people are, when power corrupts, when an audience sees that you're struggling and then you're trying not to struggle and you need them not to struggle, they get worse. They don't get better to try to help you dig yourself. They want to put the dirt on your grave and watch you fail. So I go, well, guess what? You're going to watch yourself. Everyone's going to fucking be miserable.
Patrice was a master at defeating hecklers, roasting audience members, and saying the most absurd statements, then justifying it. He would win over the audience by not trying to be funny. He wasn't afraid to embrace silence to build up a punchline. Comedians like Jim Norton, Kevin Hart, Rich Voss, and other up-and-comers would hang outside the Boston Comedy Store late into the night just roasting each other. Patrice was known for verbally brutalizing people for any reason, whether it was because you weren't funny, had a weird-shaped head, or just had a bad outfit on. His friends described him as a likable douchebag who had a big heart. At the Comedy Cellar, Patrice, along with his crew of comedians, would pick apart each other's performances in order to improve their material. One time, Kevin Hart was bombing on stage when Patrice threw a telephone book at him telling him to look up better material. Patrice roasted everyone into oblivion, which gave them thick skin, more resilience, and sharp wits. Patrice started to make connections in Los Angeles, where he discovered the politics of Hollywood. He was able to secure acting roles in movies such as 25th Hour, Furry Vengeance, and Nature Calls. Patrice was also featured in The Chappelle Show, The Office, and Arrested Development. Throughout the years, Patrice would tour in Australia, London, and Europe, where he entertained audiences with his unfiltered comedy. At one point, he became a writer for the WWE alongside Vince McMahon, where he met Dwayne Johnson before he became a Hollywood icon. In the early 2000s, Patrice became a regular guest on the Opie and Anthony Show and made several guest appearances on Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn. Both programs discussed pop culture, comedy, and real-world events.
Should men be making legislation for women's bodies? What do you think?
Now, all I'm saying is this. I don't think women, I don't think women should be, they don't have a choice. It's not, I don't believe after they're pregnant, there's one excuse. Other than that, they don't, it's not their body no more. It's no body, it's not your body once you're pregnant.
Have you ever been pregnant?
No, once it's an apartment. After you're pregnant, it's not, it doesn't belong to you because God didn't ask you if you wanted a choice to be able to make babies, and he didn't ask us if men wanted a choice to be able to have sperm. We just happen to be able to do it. But the result is not your body. The result, I'm saying the result is the baby's body. It's the baby's body. It's not your body after you're pregnant. That's all I'm saying.
Fans praised Patrice for his honest interpretations of modern media, like Fight Club.
That movie is such a heroic movie. Two guys who are lame. I saw the whole thing. I said, this did nothing for me, but I think I've run into the holy grail of something white. Like, I think I saw some shit that I didn't supposed to see. It's self-hate, guilt, burden of white guys who can't be men, the burden of having to go to work and say blah, blah, blah. It's a dream movie. I'm dreaming I'm a better man movie. That's what Tyler Durden is. He's an imaginary better me. It's the Scarface of white people, man.
There's a famous clip of Patrice dissecting Creep by Radiohead, which had everyone in the room laughing. Patrice also did a podcast with Alex Jones where they discussed the New World Order, the Obama deception documentary, and conspiracy theories. The Black Phillip Show was a regular segment on the Opie and Anthony Show where Patrice would give relationship advice to callers struggling at home.
And let's go to John in Utah. John.
Yeah, I just want to say Patrice saved my marriage. I was the doting husband and it was all about her. Started to listen to him and things were going bad, so I started going, well, what would Patrice do? I started following his advice.
What would Patrice do?
It was bad at first, but it's turned her around, and we're happier than we could possibly
You hear what he said? We're happy. A happy man is a happy relationship. A happy woman is a miserable man.
Patrice. Wow.
She wanted me to be the man.
Hours and hours of advice can be found on YouTube by fans who re-uploaded his radio segments. Patrice lectured men on how to become leaders in relationships by not simping, having real-life goals, and prioritizing happiness over everything else.
All they want is just a motherfucker they can look at and blink slow and respect. And you know, it's not about beating them and subjugating them. It's about they look at you and feel like they don't need to be your mama. That's it. That they go, wow, this motherfucker is in my corner. He handles his business.
Patrice voiced his frustrations regarding current societal norms that ostracized men who didn't fall in line.
I generally don't like living in a world where being what a man is a horrible thing, and no matter what a woman is, it's a wonderful thing. This is what they're doing. They are the society. They're bringing men down and women are up, but they don't understand women are getting their cue from men. Meaning, so if you're a woman and you're going, I want to be the most successful whatever I want to be, you're looking at the most successful man. You're competing mentally with men.
Patrice hated how men would self-edit what they really felt to please women, other people, co-workers, their bosses. He hated the fact that people were not being honest in their everyday life and was fighting for people to say what was on their mind no matter the repercussions. Unlike these modern day red pill coaches who want to give men advice, Patrice was actually qualified to give relationship advice because he was in a relationship for over 8 years. Patrice would use anecdotes, metaphors, and analogies to explain his relationship philosophy. The core of his relationship advice was about having a backbone and leading your significant other to happiness by being honest with each other. His stand-up performances often included relationship advice that highlighted the dynamics between men and women. Patrice was one of the most honest comedians of all time. The problem was he was too real for Hollywood. Patrice was never afraid to tell people how he felt. even if they were directors, agents, or high-ranking Hollywood puppets. He became a professional bridge burner within the industry. Patrice was too confrontational, brutally honest, and unapologetically himself.
Oh my God, I know she's not.
I have a guard on it. I'm tapering you a little bit.
Oh. Matter of fact, what black man's hair have you ever done? I don't see no dark brown on your table either in the makeup chair.
Look, we've had this conversation. I have a limited makeup line. I work with what they give me, you know?
I can't do nothing else. I ain't got no brush for a black man. Everything's white person friendly. But every time somebody black says black, they think they belly aching, but it's true. It was white people brushes. I gotta brush my hair differently.
Bring your own brush then the next time.
You know what? I goddamn will.
You seemed a little confused this morning. I just want to clear some things up, okay? I already got like 10 people coming up to me complaining. I got a person in here that won't even touch you.
Good.
You tell her that it's her mission in life to find you.
People gotta get over their little whatever, man.
He comes in here because he's the guy or whatever he is. I didn't even know that he was working. I thought he was just here as somebody's friend.
What do you care about the brush girl for? What the
Why don't you shut the up for a second? You were the first guy we wanted for this job, man?
Whatever, man. Go get the guy.
Ended up with you.
The first guy was smart not to take it. Did you close the door, please, boss? What's wrong with him, man?
In one instance, Chris Rock and Patrice confronted each other on the Opie and Anthony show, talking about Everybody Hates Chris. Patrice auditioned for the part of Julius, but Chris Rock didn't like Patrice's attitude.
Chris Rock said that you auditioned for Everybody Hates Chris as the father, talking about me, and said I was awful. I go, no, I was good in that audition.
You were great, you just didn't know any of your lines. Very unprepared and very self-deprecating. But you were great. You were actually the best one that day.
Put it this way, I always say in auditions I gave myself a chance to get it, but I'm very aloof in auditions because I don't want to get too like I want it or too I don't want it. Well, here's the thing I heard is that I had an attitude, and I didn't. I know when I have an attitude.
His acting was very good. He just didn't know. He didn't know the part. He was basically screaming, "Don't hire me."
Oh, Patrice.
Patrice was his own worst enemy when it came to Hollywood show business. He was featured on the American hit show The Office. He was casted as a warehouse worker. Patrice was not well received by cast members, often perceived as cranky, irritable, and confrontational. This was because the show would have 18-hour shooting sessions and they barely used any of his material. Patrice was a type 2 diabetic who struggled being on set for hours on end without guarantee they would use his footage.
People go, The Office. I go, man, I don't want to be on a show where I give 18 hours of my life. And I don't give half-ass. I give my piece of me when I'm doing stuff. And it possibly, they could use it or not, depending on how they feel. I don't have the energy for that.
Patrice had a problem with less talented people telling him what to do. If Patrice didn't like someone on set, he would make it very obvious. This would hurt his career in show business, but he still managed to find some success. Patrice was very particular with who he did business with because he knew there was no such thing as a free lunch.
Hollywood is Hollywood, dude. It's not... It's the belly of the beast, man, when you get into that game, man. There's a lot of people... That's another thing about Hollywood. You know, if you're Tom Cruise, you're the president. You owe. And if you want to be the president, man, you owe somebody. You don't get there without owing somebody. You know, you owe somebody favors. So if you want to reach the higher echelon, man, you got talent, but at some point you talk to somebody that did you a favor, and sometimes you got to walk in that door backwards, and it depends on, you know, how you want to take it. You know, sometimes, and I'm not saying anybody who made it had to take something, but we all gonna owe somebody, man. It's just, that's what it is. If some fucking Jew give me a fucking movie, dude, you know I owe him a fucking favor. You know something. It depends on what I'm willing to barter with, you know what I mean? There's nobody that can show me a picture that's gonna make me go, oh my God, my life is fucked up, you know what I mean? I've had integrity, I think, you know what I mean? So that's all it has to be is a little integrity. Do what you do, and hopefully it works out. And if it don't work out, you don't know anyway. You be dead.
Describing Hollywood fame as golden handcuffs that trap you into compromising positions.
The way that you control a motherfucker that don't got nothing is you give them something. And then you hold that something over their head.
Right.
It is what it is.
You don't want to put yourself in a position where you can fall hard and hurt yourself. And
when you hear the knock on your door and he goes, I need you to do me a favor. You're going to be at a dinner with somebody I want dead.
Right.
I want you to put this pill in his drink.
Oof.
I don't see. Well, what you owe is we're gonna kill your whole family. I told you I want my favor.
Patrice became depressed after realizing having morals in Hollywood was hurting his career. People with less talent were making more money than him because they didn't care about having humanity. Political correctness was a way Hollywood would control its puppets by making them apologize for saying the wrong thing. Patrice defended people who were being cancelled for making bad jokes. People like Don Imus, Tracy Morgan, and even Tiger Woods were being cancelled because of something they said or did. He didn't defend what they said. Patrice was advocating for the attempt to be funny, no matter if it offends people.
None of you know what funny is. Like the doctor.
Was that fun? Was it funny? What I
to say
funny to me?
Nappy-headed
Was it
hoe
funny? Was it funny?
Is hilarious. But in context of context of a comic, you should be able to explore any words you want to say. He messed up.
Would it be different if a black person said it?
Of course. I can say nappy-headed hoe all day. But I want to be able to call white girls straight-headed hoes anytime I feel like it. Anytime.
And would you?
Of course.
And should you be punished for it?
Of course not.
Right.
Patrice was always advocating for the attempt to be funny, no matter if it offends people. Political correctness has no place in comedy.
Patrice says that if you're having sex with a woman, doggy style, and if you hit her in the head just the right time.
No, it's ejaculate in her eye and kick her in the shin, and she walks around like, arg! It's the angry pirate. That's what she was trying to say.
A violent act of hitting her in the back of her head, her body.
It's called the donkey punch.
Which will then.
Why are you laughing? She's outraged.
He wanted to have a platform where he could state his opinions and people could disagree or agree with him, but he wanted to be able to have the conversation without fear of losing everything. In 2011, towards the end of his career, Patrice broke through into the mainstream with his Elephant in the Room special. Jimmy Fallon helped him promote the special by featuring him on his show. This was one of the funniest segments on live TV because Patrice did crowd work, roasted Jimmy, and called out cast members. Elephant in the Room was one of the funniest comedy specials of all time. He talked about societal issues, race relations. He would talk about things in a way where people could listen to him and digest his message by mixing the Kool-Aid in with the medicine, so it was easier to go down, easy to digest. You have to watch this special. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Patrice thrived in making the audience uncomfortable because it allowed for open discussions. 2 months before his death, Patrice was invited to the roast of Charlie Sheen. He was notified at the last minute without any chance to prepare material. When he was called to the podium, he absolutely destroyed everyone, saying everything on his mind the way he wanted to say it. He told Seth MacFarlane, no straight man writes that many show tunes, and that's a fact. He called Charlie Sheen a medieval bum and told him to bring me my turkey leg, you nothing. He said sober Steve-O was disturbing with his lack of edge. During his speech, Patrice praised Charlie Sheen for standing up against Hollywood and surviving the backlash. Towards the end of his career, Patrice had an epiphany which made him realize that he was actually a dick to people. He understood that he was not pleasant to be around on set and actually said, I'm sorry and I own up for my mistakes. I should have done things differently to help my career. At the same time, he was reflecting at all his life choices, and it was a really sentimental moment. If I find the clip, I'm gonna show it to you. He basically admitted his wrongs, took responsibility for how his career turned out, and was just depressed on how there was no platform that he could speak freely without any consequences.
My goal is to somehow have an ability to reach out to whoever wants to listen, and I get money for it, which is people who just agree or not agree, but they get to hear another side, and I don't have to worry about apologizing every 5 minutes. All I have to do is worry about whether someone agrees with me or not, because I'm not a frivolous guy. I don't just say this to get effect. I believe it. It hurts. It hurts my heart.
What kind of job is that? What?
Nothing. But I do want to be able to say something against the status quo without losing everything I have.
Unfortunately, on November 29th of 2011, Patrice died from complications with diabetes. From beyond the grave, Patrice O'Neal created a cult fanbase that pushed his message farther than he could have ever imagined. When the world needed him the most, he vanished. Patrice O'Neal predicted the Me Too movement, cancel culture, and the emasculation of modern men far before its inception. The Cult of Black Phillip was his Joe Rogan podcast. Patrice didn't say things to shock people. He spoke from the heart, knowing people would resonate with his message. If he were alive today, he would call out every red pill influencer for being phony grifters who don't practice what they preach. He would have roasted Bill Burr for doing a show in Dubai after Bill criticized chic billionaires for using slave labor to build their country. Patrice would be the type of guy to interview people from all different walks of life and engage in conversations to paint a bigger picture. To say the world lost the real one would be an understatement. Patrice was righteous with his beliefs, respected by his peers, and an activist for free speech. In the end, Patrice O'Neal didn't live long enough to reap the fruits of his labor, but he succeeded in changing people's lives by preaching brutal honesty over comforting lies.
I mean, it's difficult to tell the truth, but you got to start telling the truth because it kills you. It takes something out of you when you are phony. You know, I'd rather die than be phony, really, because it kills me. And it's not worse. Like, I'm depressed, but I'm not suicidal. Do you know how, like, horrible resistance that is wanting to kill yourself, but you just can't, you won't kill yourself? Do you understand what that is? So I have to figure out a way to make myself happy, and that's not to lie.
I bet you $10,000 if Patrice O'Neal were still alive to this day, he would be one of the top podcasters of all time, better than Joe Rogan. I guarantee you. He could engage any topic and have an instant opinion, tell you what he felt, and be really funny about it. And he wasn't one-sided. He was open to discussion, open to seeing things differently, and more than ever, that's what we need to do nowadays. Have conversations, talk about anything without fear of social repercussions, and just really engage with each other and stop being afraid of the societal norms of being politically correct. PC culture is literally censorship. I'm glad I got to make this video. This was really fun and funny to make. Please write your comments on Patrice O'Neal. Do you think he would be one of the best comedians of all time if he were alive today? If you love to laugh, watch one of his comedy specials or all of them. You're gonna have a good laugh and maybe you'll think differently for a change. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey!